There is a consequence to everything that we do, whether that consequence is something positive or that consequence is something that we consider negative, but there is a consequence. There's an input and then there's an output. On today, I want to talk about the cost of quitting, the cost of stopping. Welcome to Arise and Build here with your girl, Yakinea Marie. Today, we are going to talk about the cost of quitting, the hidden cost of quitting. Now, I know personally, I can look over the 50 years that I have been living, 30 years that I've been an adult, and I can see the times that I started something and I didn't finish, or I started something and I paused it prematurely, or I started something and I quit altogether. And 10 years, 15, 20 years later, I look back and I saw that God's hand was on that particular thing. But because I was anxious, or I was frustrated, or I was whatever the reason or excuse I want to use, it made me make a decision based off feelings and not the leading of the Holy Spirit. But on today, I want to talk about 7 key points around the cost of quitting. So I hope that you are ready to take copious notes because this lesson blessed me all by myself. Okay. And I want to share this with you. So, number one, the cost of quitting. Quitting often happens right before breakthrough. It often happens right before breakthrough. When I tell you, if I could just go into my archive and just look at some premature moves that I made that set me back. Now, I'm not living in the past because I believe we should learn from decisions or mistakes that we made and go forward, but not look backwards, because this message today is not about looking backwards or wallowing in regret, okay? But it's about learning from those decisions and saying, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to make premature moves. Every move is calculated and spirit led. So quitting often happens right before breakthrough. Most people quit in the middle. Ooh, this good. Most people quit in the middle, the messy, unclear, and uncomfortable parts. It's almost like, you know what, it just seems like it's chaotic. Now, you know in your spirit that this is from God, but you're like, this is just too messy. It just seemed like this uncomfortable, is unfamiliar. And, maybe let me go back and do the thing that I did that where I felt uncomfortable. But God is outside of our comfort zone. So remember this right here. What if the breakthrough, this is a question I want to ask you. What if the breakthrough you're praying for is on the other side of your discomfort? What if, what you're believing God for is on the other side of you finishing, and not just finishing, but finishing well? So, number one is quitting often happens right before breakthrough. Number two is emotions versus truth. Now, I've said this before, our feelings will lie to us. This is why we don't want to make emotional decisions, because as soon as you come down from that emotion and you look back and you be like, oh, I shouldn't have made that decision. I was anxious when I made that decision. I was feeling this type of way when I made the decision. That's why when you're you wait a day or two, get counsel or whatever the case before you make that decision. So people quit based on how they feel, not what is true. Feelings, this isn't working. Truth, this is taking longer than I expected, but guess what? I am going to stay here. I'm going to master the mundane and I am going to stay here. Key point, don't make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions, because emotions, they will not last. All right. That emotional high, or that emotional from disappointment or delay or whatever the case may be, it will not last. Number three is the cost of starting over. Now, Whenever we start something and stop something, we start over. I just was having this conversation with one of my friends the other day, just yesterday. Every time we start something new, and we're starting over. So every time you quit, you reset your progress. Write that down. Every time you quit or stop, you reset your progress. Lost time, lost momentum, because you could be on a high, but as soon as it's almost like, for example, let's say you want to build brand visibility, right? You want to make yourself findable so you can serve more people. And then you're consistent on social media, you're consistently showing up, adding value. And then you just say, you know what? I'm tired. I'm tired of posting. I'm tired of doing this. Instead of hiring someone to come in and help you with it, you just stop altogether. And so you go on a hiatus for about 3 months, 6 months, and then you realize, you know what? Let me start back. Well, you just lost momentum. You just started over. But guess what? We're not wallowing in regret. Just reset and get started. Now you know better. Lost lessons that were about to compound. So remember, as you are growing and going, everything that you're learning there is beginning to compound. I remember 10 years ago, there's some things I know today that I didn't know back then. But the more that I continue to stay the course, it's compounding. Key point: consistency compounds. Quitting cancels the compound effect. Okay. Number four, one is quitting often happens right before the breakthrough. Emotion versus the cost of starting over, because there's a cost. And then number four, discomfort is not a sign to quit. It's a sign that you are growing. Discomfort, you are growing. So growth stretches you. Always remember that there is ability lying with us all. I remember years ago, before I became a public speaker, I didn't. I always said I am an introvert. Okay. And so I would walk into a room of thousands of people, and if they didn't say anything to me, guess what? I didn't say anything to them either. I was just like, I'm just coming to get the information and I'm out. And I began to learn. I began to get uncomfortable, and I began to become. I tell people this: I'm an introvert who learned to become an extrovert because I'm in a people business. Then someone said, "Oh, so you're an ambivert, right?" So growth stretches you. So in those moments, I learned how to engage people I did not know, and then I began to practice public speaking so that I can become better at speaking. All right. And now, I can speak. And even if I feel a little nervousness, it doesn't stop me from speaking. So growth stretches you. New levels feel unfamiliar. Pressure increases before capacity does. Ooh, write that down. Pressure increases before capacity does. One of my prayers is, Lord, I thank you for the capacity and the grace to do what you have called me to do. Key point: discomfort is confirmation, not cancellation. Discomfort is confirmation, not cancellation. I have three more that I'm going to share with you. Quitting becomes a pattern. Quitting becomes a pattern. If quitting becomes your response, it turns into your identity. Ooh, come on. If quitting becomes a response, it turns into your identity. Quitting one thing makes it easier for you to quit the next. Quitting one thing makes it easier for you to quit the next. And then you train yourself to escape instead of endure. You train yourself every time you quit. You're just like, okay, well, I don't have to do that. Listen, I went through this. That's why today, even when those thoughts try to come in my mind, I'd be like, devil, you a lie. I'm not quitting. I am not quitting. I am staying the course. You understand? Because there was a time that I just feel like, okay, whatever. And it's selfish. It literally is selfish. Because if you know God has called you to do something and you know that God has called you to serve a certain type of people group, and you just say, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. You're basically saying, God, I'm done. And then you're looking at the people and say, okay, so what? Go and find somebody else. And it is really a selfish act. So remember this, discipline isn't built in comfort, it's built in staying. It's truly built in staying. And then number six, there's a difference between quitting and pivoting. There's a difference between stopping and pivoting. Not everything is meant to be held forever, but everything shouldn't be abandoned prematurely. There will come times where you know that your season is up, and that is different from quitting. I remember years ago, the Lord led me to start a Bible study. I was in this direct sales company, and the Lord prompted upon my heart to say, I want you to teach my entrepreneurs to keep me as the foundation of what they do. And I did this Bible study on Saturdays, 7 a.m. Every Saturday morning inside of this direct sales company. And that's what we did. And then I felt a leading to shift, to pivot, right? So remember that not everything is meant to be held forever, but everything shouldn't be abandoned prematurely. The key takeaway is make decisions from clarity, not frustration, right? So when you are clear and you have a knowing and a prompting, pivot, shift. But you have to be clear. This cannot be an emotional decision. And then lastly, vision requires endurance. Vision requires endurance. Anything meaningful takes longer than expected. You may write your goals down, your SMART goals, right? But it may not happen in that time. One of my mentors said to me, said to a group of us years ago, if the goal does not happen at the time that you projected to happen, don't change the goals, right? Just adjust. Adjust your efforts, right? Adjust the date, adjust your efforts, but don't quit on what you are focusing on, what your vision is, what your goals are. So anything meaningful takes longer than expected, regardless of what arena that you are operating in. Key takeaway: if the vision is big, the endurance must be bigger. If your vision is big, the endurance must be bigger. So remember this, don't let a temporary feeling make you abandon a permanent call. And I can't say everybody, but I'm sure a few of us have allowed an emotional moment, whether someone did something to us, said something to us, or we had an encounter that made us feel some type of way, and we just say, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with this, right? But we don't want to allow a temporary feeling to rob us of a Kairos moment. And so because that delay, it literally can rob you of years. But I love the fact that God is in the restoration business. And I remember one of my passages that I constantly say over myself, my family, our children, is Job chapter 42, verses 10 and 12. When I say, Lord, I thank you for restoring our losses and giving us back double of what we had and blessing our latter days more than our beginning. Job 2:25. Lord, I thank you for restoring the years that the cankerworm, the worm, the locust, and the caterpillar have eaten. So I don't want you to be in regret. That's the past. Remember not the former things, nor consider the things of old, because God is doing a new thing. Okay, now it shall spring forth. Now it shall spring forth. Now is it may not be like now, like today, but your now, every day is a now. Every moment is a now, because when this second pass, the next second is a now. So don't look back and wallow in the past and regret anything. I remember years ago the Lord told me no regrets. I was I was having this emotional moment of, oh, if I had done this and if I had done this, I would be right here right now. And the Lord said, no regrets. I remember writing it in my journal, no regrets. So I am intentional about learning from decisions that I made in the past so that I won't repeat them. Okay. Learning from them. You didn't lose. Say that. I didn't lose. I learned. I did not, even if it feels like you're lost, I didn't lose. I learned, and I will not repeat this. I will go forward in focus with intention. Okay. So I pray that you was blessed by today's uh, podcast. Remember, we go live every single week at 12 p.m. Thank you for joining me on Horizon Bill. What I would love to know, at least one thing that I said that spoke to you, that you learned, that bless you. Make sure that you comment below. And again, I appreciate you. If you're not already subscribed, I invite you to subscribe, to like, and to share. And thank you for joining me on Arise and Bill.